How are you getting on, folks? First of all, I want to wish you all a very happy Christmas. Hopefully, 2021 is going to be a very good year for us all. And yeah, hopefully, look at things start picking up in our direction and start, I suppose, getting bigger and better, basically. I want to thank you all for the support you've shown me so far. It's been. It's been a good roller coaster basically. Like we're still yet to be able to meet up in these particular race meetings and everything else like that. But look at hopefully with this vaccine, I don't really know how good it is yet, but hopefully it's an opening door basically into a better life. But yeah, look at we may as well crack on anyway. Stevens' day tomorrow. Very very good racing on the cards, and hopefully, I suppose a few valuable winners basically is what I'm trying to say. We're going to cover Leopardstown, Limerick, and I'm just going to run through the card in Kempton. I'm not really going to do anything else down for tomorrow, but yeah, there's some great value prices there, as big as 20 to 1 in some cases. But we may as well look at the card in Leopardstown first. The first race off at the 12 o'clock. I know, look at micromanage. It's more than likely going to be the winner here, but I'm going to take a little bit of chance and go with Irish Poseidon each way at 11 to 1. Now, this one here is better known as a flat horse, really. I think overall it's definitely got the capabilities of going over hurdles. It certainly has the pace about it. The ground is a little bit of a worry. I don't really know whether it's going to handle the ground as well as others will, and especially look at, I think it's the first time over hurdles as well for Irish Poseidon as well, so there's a few question marks over the head, but when you look at the wins in Dundalk, 11 to 1 is a massive price. The fact that Sean Flanagan is on board as well, to me, it speaks volumes that, like, really, Matthew Smith could have thrown up a £7 claimer there just for an education run. But the fact that Sean Flanagan is on board, to me, it speaks volumes. I definitely think it should be well capable of winning a race of this particular nature. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Sean Flanagan won this race last year as well on Brendan Duke's horse for Jim Bulger. The name has actually gone out of my head, but I'm nearly sure he won this particular race last year, so he could be going for a two-timer basically. Moving on into the 12:30. No real value here at this sort of a price, but I'm going to go with El Barra at 6 to 4. Simply because it looks the most classiest horse of the race. I definitely think it should be well capable of polishing these off fairly lively. I don't think there's anything in here that's going to really trouble it too good. And to me, 6 to 4 is a great price. I certainly like the look of it anyway. Moving on into the 105. I know we've gone with Zana here for the Irish Racing Corner charity bet. It's a tricksy, so we'll get onto that a little bit later on as well. But for me, I certainly think Hador at 7 to 1 is a great each way value. I mentioned it on the podcast there with Ronan McNally this week that it's a French AQPS winner. Similar enough profile to the likes of Undeso, who Willie Mullins obviously does so well with. So, like, these sorts of horses, like, you wouldn't necessarily be looking at them overall form-wise, but when you look at the bloodline and everything in this particular horse, it's related to winners from a mile and a furlong up to 3 miles, so versatility is there. Whether it's going to be good enough to mix it with the full thoroughbreds or not, I don't know, but it's got a good, I suppose, opportunity to run a fairly nice race here. It's second favourite at 7 to 1. It's certainly well worth an each way bet. I think it's more than likely going to place. It shouldn't really beat Zana here. At least I'm hoping it doesn't, considering we are on for the charity tricksy. But yeah, it should be a nice little each way punt. Moving on then to the 140, another each way shout here now with this one. Take All at 10 to 1. Certainly looks to be a nice enough sort. Alan King is riding for this particular race. He won on the horse last time out in Cork by 14 lengths. Gone up £14 in the handicap since, so it's a little bit of a hindrance more so than anything else. But the way Alan King rode that day, he was as still as water on the horse, basically. No real question asked. Looks like it's got plenty of improvement to do. And it's definitely got a good, I suppose, shout if it puts improvement to the test. I think it's going to set off just behind the leaders like it did last day for its win, and coming around the home straight, it might, I suppose, try and find a gap and strike for home, basically. Obviously, look at One Cool Port is there in the race as well, so that's a little bit of a worry for me, but I don't know. I just think it's One Cool Port seems to be definitely more of a flat horse than a national hunt horse. Moving on then to the 2:15, we are going to go with the nap of the day and the second of the charity bet, Trixie. Felix Deji at 13-8 is a crazy price, folks. Really and truly, this horse only has to beat Blackbull, who, in fairness, like it's a decent horse around Leopardstown, but it's just so frustrating to follow Blackbull. Like the way he finds any single way to get himself beaten is a massive downfall for me. He's around 3-1. I definitely think the value for money is there for Felix Deji compared to the two of them. When you look at the form book, he has the beating of the rest of the field. Felix Deji does. Darver Star was 10-15 lengths in behind the last day. Ben Rubin was miles behind. Although I am a big fan of Ben Rubin in good ground, but no, it's not going to be good tomorrow. It's going to be soft to heavy, probably at the very worst. But it certainly looks like it's going to be a bit of a bog. But 13-8 for me. Felix Deji, he can either set the pace or he can be held up in behind. More than likely, he's going to set the pace tomorrow. He should be able to set a fairly decent gallop. And it should be very hard for any horse to catch him, really. I don't think that there's anything of his quality, basically, when you put it into perspective. Like, he bet Aramon, who is a Galway hurdle winner and is more than likely going to be a nice contender for the champion hurdle there this year. So when you put pace into perspective, like, Felix Deji is miles there on ratings. 250 then, we are going to go with another each way shout here now with this one. Camino at 14-1. This one speaks volumes of its chance. I think the bookies have got this price wrong. Obviously, look at Paul Nolan likes to get his winners around here. Camino being a course and distance winner already. Loves heavy ground, has had a couple of runs on the flat around Dundalk. So overall, fitness is no issue. Ground shouldn't be an issue, and a horse that certainly likes the track. I was looking there the last time it ran, it was drifted out massively. So Connections obviously didn't really fancy the horse, so the fact that it still finished sixth, and I think it was only about a length or a length and a half down that day, it speaks volumes. This horse is well capable of a big run, and for a race that only has two course and distance winners in the field, Felix Deji certainly looks to be the one to be on. Moving on into the 325, I'm going to side with Joseph O'Brien's horse here, Collins. This one here is priced around, I think it's 7-2 or 4-1. 4-1 at the moment. For me, this one here is mainly going by the course record for the trainer and the jockey. Now, I think Tom Hamilton is riding it now tomorrow. And Joseph O'Brien and Tom Hamilton, when they've teamed up for this particular race, they've won it in 2016 and 2019. So obviously, look at when you put all things into perspective, that's a fact that you have to be looking at. It's a race obviously that Joseph O'Brien targets. So 4-1 certainly looks to be a nice sort of a shout. Moving on into Limerick tomorrow. Not really. Well, there's a few nice prices in here in each way perspective. But there is a good few of these that are shorter prices more so than anything else. Starting off in the first race, the 12:15, Palm Beach is my nap of the day here. It looks like it's Joseph O'Brien's Triumph Hurdle horse. Got a great sort of a bloodline to it. A similar enough bloodline to the likes of Sir Eric. It's definitely got a nice sort of a profile to it. And the fact that it was a length, I think it was a length down to Crassus the last time, who has been a fairly consistent hurdler for Noel Meade. I think that's going to stand to him, and I definitely think he's going to put experience to the test here now tomorrow, and he should be a very, very hard horse to catch. Moving on into the 12:47. Another short enough price here now for Gordon Elliott. Clondaw Secret, Dean was talking about it there in the podcast that went up there today. He reckons that Gordon Elliott is going to have a double in the space of 15 minutes, obviously with Zanna here and this Clondaw Secret. I'd be inclined to agree with him. I don't really think it's a field full of real quality, basically, compared to Clondaw Secret, and it should be a horse that's going to keep on improving. Obviously, look at Clondaw Secret's an unbeaten horse, so you do have a bit of question marks over the particular horse, whether it's good enough to keep the unbeaten run going, but so far so good for me. I definitely think it's definitely worth mentioning. I think Deal Kerr is more of a troublesome horse than really anything else, so it's certainly got, look at this, it's certainly got bags of potential, and it should be a very hard horse to stop. Moving on then to the 122. Look at a sharp price again. Shadow River. Currently priced around 4 to 6 for JP McManus. Look, JP is a local man to Limerick. He loves to have his winners around here. Willie Mullins, the man in serious form. Mark Walsh obviously will be looking to have a fairly decent day. I'm not going to spend too much time on this one. Shadow River should be well capable of winning this particular race. Moving on then to the 157. I'm going to go with an each way shout here now for this one. Personally speaking, presenting Megan here at 14 to 1 is a bit of an eye opener. The ground is definitely going to suit her. She's put in some very decent runs in the past. She certainly looks like the mark is right about her. I think she could actually be potentially ahead of the mark that she's been given. So look at when all things into perspective as well. And another thing I like to see is the fact that she's a late enough finisher. So Limerick should be playing to her strengths more so than anything else. And I think, look at, she could be delivered with a big run down the outside, or if wherever she can find space. But I think 14 to 1 is a massive price, and it should well be worth considering. Moving on into the 235. My next best of the day. Now, I know Ryan has gone against me for the patron, but I personally like Janadil at 11 to 2. Personally speaking, I think Asterion for Lange, although it is a classy enough sort, I think it's definitely got, how would you say, it's a bit erratic, to put it mildly. Like it's a horse that I don't think is any great value at 11 to 10, and let me explain why. There is some horses here that I would be willing to back at odds on or short enough prices, but I can't touch Asterion for Lange at 11 to 10. No way in hell. I would certainly love to see his jumping improve an awful lot better. Janadil looks more an accomplished jumper, if that makes any sense. Look at, obviously, Asterion for Lange is the class act of the race, and it is the class of particularly the meeting. I think the fact that Paul Townend goes down to Limerick instead of Leopardstown, with all, obviously, look at the horses that I've gone through here, the likes of El Barra, Micromanage. I think that's all I've tipped up for Willie Mullins and Leopardstown. But look at, it's certainly an eye opener, the fact that Paul bypasses Leopardstown to go down to Limerick for this particular ride. So look at, I'm probably going against everything that I would be looking at for a horse, but I just think that he needs to jump a hell of a lot better to be worthy of a price of around 11 to 10. And Janadil looks like a nice sort of an each way shout in case things go wrong. Moving on into the 307. I'm not really going to have any real bet in this particular race, but I'm going to support my former boss. Balbir de Mathan for Stephen Mahan, currently priced around 20-1. It's a poor enough race. It's potentially the poorest race of the day. But Balbir de Mathan is a former course and distance winner in heavy ground as well, so that's definitely a big bonus. Generally a front runner. He certainly likes to go from the front, and I don't know. It's just something that I'd be looking at. If I am going to be having a bet in that particular race tomorrow, I wouldn't even be spending more than €2, to be quite honest with you. I'd be probably doing €1 each way at 20-1. That's the biggest bet I'm going to have for him tomorrow. It's just mainly the fact that he likes it around Limerick, and he's won around Limerick before, so he might just throw a spanner in the works tomorrow. I don't know. I haven't heard anything from Stephen, so it's just basically going off my own word, really. That's all I'm going to say. 342 then, I'm going to join the I suppose the party here and go with more Wine Lily. It's been well supported for the last couple of days, from I think 16-1 into 8-1 now. It's well bred. It's not really a great race. Obviously the dial horse here is the standout horse at 15-8, but it's vulnerable to a potential decent horse. I wouldn't even say superstar, I'd say decent horse. So look at this one here, More Wine Lily. It's a nice bred horse. It's definitely got the bloodline there to be able to beat this particular favourite, and I think 8-1 is a great shout for an each way perspective. Moving on then to Kempton. I'm not really going to spend too much time on this one. The 1240, I particularly like Third Time Lucky at 5-4. 115 and Al Nadam at 5-2 for Harry Skelton quickfire double. 150 then, I particularly like the big breakaway at 3-1. I think the price is a bit crazy. The 225 then, the last of the charity bet, Epitante at 2-9. But I'm not suggesting to have a bet on singly for that particular race. Moving on then to the 3 o'clock, Surname is my nap of the day. 5-2 is a crazy price for him. The way he jumped in Weatherby last time out, I think you can forgive him for last year's running. He was just better on the boards for beating Altior, and he just didn't. He just turned into a. What's the words I'm trying to say? He just. He turned sour at the end of last year. That's basically what I'm trying to say. He turned sour, and things just really didn't go his way coming into the winter, and everything just sort of went against him since Altior's win. But since coming back in the scene, he absolutely lit up the field in Weatherby. I think he's good enough to be able to beat Landis Obo, and it should be a very, very good race. Finally then, the 335, I'm going to side with Riggs here for Dan and Harry Skelton. Look at a very easy winner last time out. I think it won by 8 lengths. It's gone up in the handicapper now, but look at it. It looks like a horse that's potentially improving more so than most, and I don't think £8 is going to stop him. But I'm going to leave it there. Like I said already, I want to wish you all a very, very happy Christmas. Hopefully these selections tomorrow will be able to bring you all plenty of profit. If you're going to be having a bet, the best of luck. And if not, if you're just using me as a bit of a reassurance, basically, is what I'm saying. That's totally fine by me as well. I'm not forcing anyone to bet my selections, but it's just great to see the support that I've gotten and we've gotten as the Irish Racing Hour so far. Please make sure to keep liking, sharing, subscribing, and other than that, it's been a good one, and hopefully it's going to be a good one now tomorrow. Thanks very much, and best of luck tomorrow.